I heard that I should practice for an interview. What does that mean?
Yes, you definitely should practice for an interview. As I said earlier, if you have the opportunity to get the detailed job description, have a look at that and think about your knowledge, skills, and ability in relation to that role. You may not have done that exact job before, so you also need to think about your transferable skills that you can talk about in relation to the role. So although you may not have experience being frontline receptionist in an organization, maybe you have call center experience, and so you're used to a different type, but that's very transferable. Even through your volunteer experience, there may be some things that you've gained you could talk about in relation to the position. So don't worry if it isn't an exact fit, but that's where you're practicing what could be transferable so that you can bring that up in the interview. An exercise that I think is helpful for people is this: I am, I can. So have words that describe yourself. How would you describe yourself to an employer? Because sometimes people will say, tell me about yourself. Often that'll stump someone. Well, what do you mean by that? Are you talking professionally, personally? And it really throws them off a little bit. So think about, what am I comfortable in sharing in a question like that? And what are the traits that I want to get across? I'm hardworking, I'm loyal, I'm a good team player. Those kinds of things are real assets to an employer. You need to practice answers to standard questions. So, tell me about yourself is a very standard question. Another standard question would be, what attracted you to the position? So, being able to talk about the position as well as the employer is important there. Another standard question would be, can you summarize for us your qualifications and experience in relation to the position? Now, those are kind of standard introductory questions, and then the heart of the interview, if people have been trained in interviewing, is typically a behavioral interview. And so a behavioral interview is asking for specific examples to demonstrate your skills. So say you say, I have strong organizational skills. The question would be, we need strong organizational skills for this position. Can you describe a time where you've had to use your organizational skills? Or can you describe a time where you've had to work to a tight deadline? We need someone that's a good team player. Tell us about a time where there was tension on a team. What was your role? How did you work to resolve that? We need someone that can work independently. Can you tell us about a time where you have to take on a project and work with minimal guidance? We need someone that's able to adapt to change. Can you talk about that? And again, that would be a great transferable skill for new immigrants, because you've had a whole lot of life-changing experience for yourselves and your families, and talking in that context is fine. So thinking about the skills that are required and specific examples. So those would be if an HR person has been trained on interview skills, they're going to ask behavioral questions. Now, not all employers are trained in interviewing skills, but it's still an effective technique. Even if they're not asking you those questions in a behavioral way, you could still say, I've got great organizational skills. For example, in my past position, I did, and give them a concrete example of that. And so that, I think, is very helpful. The other thing is talking in front of a mirror, practicing with other people, having someone give you feedback. Even if you're really struggling with the interview, doing a videotape and looking back. We did this quite a bit at Dalhousie when we were training people on interview skills if they were looking for employment. And I have to say, I think the biggest learning for people was that, oh, I look so scary, I look so unfriendly, I look so stiff. It's a tense situation, but try to use your body language to relax a little bit and smile, because that's more welcoming to the employer as well. And practice positive self-talk. I've got the skills and abilities to do this job. I've got a great background. I'm going to do really well in this interview. And if I don't get it, what can I learn from this experience?